First and only video of the day, because as I said in the video yesterday, I am in California now, so yeah, I'm not going to be doing the whole full-time YouTuber thing from here, just kind of coming in once in a while with a few videos that I feel like we could have talked about yesterday, we could have talked about them tomorrow, they're just kind of random ideas thrown out there. But with the Stanley Cup playoffs going on right now, and with Toronto-Tampa being one of the hottest series out there, I wanted to have a conversation about one of the players that made his grand return to the Lightning's roster, and long story short, he is one of the best defensemen of our generation, if not the absolute best. Let's talk today about Tampa Bay Lightning's big number 77, Victor Hedman, and an article that we recently dug up from a few years ago. Actually, no, not a few years ago. This was from 14 years ago, published by Jason Botchford, RIP by the way, in The Province. Yeah, I think everybody in Vancouver kind of remembers Botch and all the work that he had done as a prominent member of the Vancouver media cycle, but this piece, published back in September of 2009, goes out there and talks about Victor Hedman as a potential Vancouver Canucks target. How was this possible? Well, let's read the title of the article and figure it out. Brian Burke stirs up trouble for the Canucks by spreading a rumor that the Vancouver Canucks offered Kevin Bieksa, Alex Burrows, and a first for Victor Hedman. This will be linked in the description if you want to go ahead and read it. It's an article that's only a 2-minute read, but because it's from so long ago, I feel comfortable just going out there and reading what it is the article has to say, because in very typical Botch-esque fashion, Botchford goes out there and talks about the Canucks and this hypothetical trade idea, as well as where it comes from, too. Let's take a look at the opening paragraph here. Toronto Maple Leafs GM Brian Burke loves to give a good quote, and if he happens to spread a rumor that sticks it to the Vancouver Canucks along the way, so be it. For context, Brian Burke was fired by Vancouver back in 2004, and ever since then he had been working other jobs, doing other things, and he ended up getting himself the Toronto Maple Leafs GM job. This is what he said in a new special on Leafs TV, Behind the Draft in 2009. Brian Burke was essentially caught rumor-mongering. In the documentary-styled multi-chapter feature, which was filmed at June's NHL Draft but aired for the first time on Tuesday, the GM, who has described members of the media as... Yeah, I'm not reading that. YouTube algorithm, baby, let's go. He makes an unsubstantiated, admittedly speculative claim alleging the Vancouver Canucks made a strong push for Victor Hedman, the Swedish defenseman whom the Tampa Bay Lightning drafted second overall. Burke is filmed in June at the beginning of the draft in the Leafs' war room, where he is seen addressing his scouting staff. Vancouver has made major efforts to get the second pick out of Tampa Bay, says Burke on the series, which was released on the eye of the opener and can be seen on the Leafs website. We heard they offered, again, this is all secondhand, so we don't know if it's true, Alex Burrows, Kevin Bieksa, and their own pick. Those are two pretty good players. Now, before we continue, I just wanted to go out there and reframe everything as to what happened in 2009. Victor Hedman was, of course, a prospect back in this time frame, and he was one of the better young prospects out of the Swedish Hockey League that we had seen in a long time. He was half a point a game as the main guy on the Moto Hockey's blue line, and of course, as a youngin', that's a really impressive feat. He then made the NHL right away after, getting 20 points in 74 games played for the Lightning, but as his career went on, he eventually became the monster that we know him to be today. 72 points in 2016-17, 85 points last year. Sure, he kind of had a bad year this season when you compare it to the work he's done in the past. He had 49 points in 76 games played. But Victor Hedman, just holistically, big, strong dude, very capable at producing points, very capable at shutting the play down. He is one of the best defensemen we have had in our generation, bar none, and the 2 Stanley Cups prove that, the 3 straight Stanley Cup Finals appearances prove that, plus the other one in 2016. He's a good player. But the Vancouver Canucks back in 2009, apparently, according to Brian Burke, made themselves a pitch to get him. In this draft in 2009, the Canucks had themselves the 22nd overall pick. They used it to select Jordan Schrader, who was not good with the team, unfortunately. However, there were some guys taken after that were pretty alright. I mean, Marcus Johansson, Kyle Palmieri, if you want to go to the second round, Ryan O'Reilly was available there too. Alex Chason is a funny one that happens to be here as well. So even if the Canucks didn't really get the best value out of their 22nd overall pick in Jordan Schroeder, there still were some opportunities for Tampa Bay to get some assets and value out of that pick had they received it instead. But aside from that 22nd overall pick, the rumor goes that the Canucks offered Alex Burrows as well as Kevin Bieksa. Now, back in 2009, Kevin Bieksa was not the player that he eventually became today, and you could even say the same about Alex Burrows. You see, Bieksa back in 2009 had a few 40-point seasons under his belt, and was already a lot more comfortable being a mainstay NHL guy after making his debut with the team back in 2005-06. He had been on the team for a while, he was producing points, and he was a really solid right-handed defenseman with some agitative qualities, but as his career went on, we all kind of knew that Bieksa eventually molded more so into a leadership type role. He was a lot more defensively minded towards the end of his tenure in Vancouver, and he scored some pretty memorable goals too. Of course, the Game 5 winner in overtime against San Jose is the biggest and baddest one, and then he actually assisted on the Maxime Lapierre goal too. Game 5 against Boston, if you remember that one. But either way, Bieksa was a really important piece of this team. He was a good player, solid top 4 guy, and you have Alex Burrows at the same time, who honestly had not broken out yet in this time frame. This is because Burrows was a recently acquired free agent signee that had 81 games and only 9 points in 06-07. The season after, he had 31 points. The year after, which is where the trade conversations allegedly took place, he had 51 points and 28 goals in 82 games played, and 4 points in 10 games in the postseason. The thing is, with Alex Burrows at this time frame, he still wasn't at the absolute peak of his career, but he was already 27 years old at this time frame, so it wasn't really like he was seen to get any better or he was going to become this amazing top-of-the-line guy. Eventually, after getting paired with the Sedins, he posted up that 67-point year, 35 goals, and just kind of cemented himself in Canucks lore as the Dragon Slayer, the hero, the best, most clutchest guy on the team. You got Burrows looking like Bure out there in some shifts. Also, that's from a rap song, if you remember that line. But Burrows was a solidified top 6 forward, 67 points as a career high, 35 goals too. He really started to become less effective towards the end of his Canucks career, which is kind of why fans rejoiced in 2017 when he was traded to Ottawa for Jonathan Dahlen back in that time frame. But in 2008-2009, Burrows was seen as a very valuable asset, and Kevin Bieksa also being included there too was also seen as good value. It's just, when you think about what Victor Hedman eventually became, I could totally understand why the Tampa Bay Lightning would not have wanted to take that deal, especially if they believed from the get-go that Hedman would be that good. Hedman is one of the best defenders we have seen. I mean, personally, for me, it's tough to find many defensemen that I've visually watched that are better than him. Of course, all the other ones that were really good are from before my time, but Hedman, for a guy like Burrows, Kevin Bieksa, and maybe another prospect like, let's say even best case scenario, Ryan O'Reilly. Maybe if you think about it like that, it's a little easier to think about Hedman going over to Vancouver, but just 22nd overall pick by itself plus Bieksa and Burrows does not really seem like a fit that, with hindsight, matches up to Hedman's value as a defenseman in the NHL. So, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this entire article. Actually, you know what? Let's read more of the article and finish things off before we get things over with here. He's right. They are pretty good players whose inclusion in the alleged deal make the rumor sound pretty outlandish. It's one thing for Brian Burke to make the comment in his war room. That's fair game. It's another entirely to allow it to air. And it wasn't buried in the piece either. The comment was basically an opening item. It seems over the top even for Brian Burke. It would be low rent if Burke knew for a fact the Canucks had made the offer. What makes this more Bush League is that he wasn't involved in the supposed trade, and he also admits we don't know if it's true. In that case, he should have left it out of his special. The Canucks, for their part, deny that they made such an offer. It's not the first time Burke has worked in the weeds in an attempt to stir up trouble for the Canucks. On day 1 of the draft in 2008, Burke approached more than one member of the media and said the Sedins were in play, suggesting the Canucks were shopping the pair. Man, I just love Botch for his writing style. Man, I miss this man. R.I.P. for sure. But either way, we're going to end the video off here. I got some Universal Studios touring to catch up on. I gotta see the set of Psycho. I want to see that once more. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea today. But either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Canucks almost nabbing Victor Hedman, or at the very least, trying to get him with a package that allegedly included Burrows, Bieksa, and the pick that became Jordan Schrader. Thoughts in the comments about this? How would things have changed? How would the Canucks Stanley Cup Finals run have been affected without the Dragon Slayer and without the Game 5 hero against San Jose? Do they even make the finals at that time if that's the case? Who really knows? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.